Hello. I hope I can say hello again because these videos build on each other. This video is going to go more in depth into what researchers have found regarding dyslexia, vision, and reading. It will help explain the rationale behind such practices as using frosted overlays and lowered lights that I shared before. Over 90 years ago, a pioneer in the field of reading disabilities, S.T. Orton, you may have heard of the Orton-Gillingham approach to treating dyslexia, spoke of an impairment of the visual processes causing poor reading ability. Research confirms that. Studies indicate that about 75% of dyslexic subjects have deficits in visual processing. A little background will help you understand this. There are two parallel visual pathways that go from the eyes to the brain. When reading, our eyes move from one span of letters to the next span. When our eyes are focusing on the letters, that is called the fixation point. P pathway, or parvocellular visual pathway, is responsible for that fixating. The movement from one span of letters to the next is called a saccade. During saccades, the other parallel visual pathway, called the M pathway, or magnocellular pathway, is responsible for a smooth movement from one fixation point to the next fixation point, and for shutting down the P pathway so you don't see letters on top of letters. Researchers suggest that a deficit in the M pathway could cause reading problems. It can't suppress the P pathway. This theory is supported by evidence of physical problems in the M pathway. For example, abnormally small cells there, reduced electrical responses to stimuli processed there. It would seem that L dyslexics may have a deficit in the M pathway and that the P dyslexics do not. Remember, those with P dyslexia, perceptual dyslexia, are the slow readers with few mistakes. These readers have difficulty with words that don't follow the basic phonics rules, words such as rough, R-O-U-G-H, and when spelling would write R-U-F or rough. But they seem to not have a problem with the visual pathways. There's a similarity between the words and the spelling of sounds. However, those with L dyslexia, linguistic dyslexia, the fast readers with many mistakes, substituting words like funny for laugh, this suggests they may have a problem in the M pathway. Studies of their tomography scans revealed damage to a part of the brain that is normally activated during saccades, resulting in the M pathway not suppressing the P pathway during saccades. Think about that. There are letters on top of letters they are seeing. What can be done about this? It's found that the contrast between darkness of print and the lightness of the page affects the time at fixations and the length of saccades. Reducing the contrast improves the performance of dyslexics because it helps the deficient M pathway do its job to suppress the P pathway. That's the value of using frosted transparencies and lowered lights that we talked about. I know this video has been quite in-depth about the possible causes of dyslexia, but I hope it helps you understand the science behind the practices of using frosted transparencies and lowered lights. And aside, some researchers believe that lowering the lights in rooms with fluorescent bulbs helps because the flicker rate of those affects vision. You know that studies have found those with dyslexia have better peripheral vision than normal readers. If the reader is focusing on an X in the center of vision, with an N easily readable to the left, and an N the same distance to the right, but flanked by two letters masking it, normal readers began to have trouble as the distance of the group of letters on the right moved away from the center. But the dyslexic readers had trouble in the center and did considerably better in the periphery. It's interesting to check if the reader is focusing more to the periphery rather than the center. Have a slotted paper or card with an X beside the slot. Run the card over the print while the reader looks at the X but reads the print in the slot. Can they read better looking at the X? After I read about this strategy, I tried it on a little special needs girl I didn't teach and was amazed at how much better she read using this. In the next video, I will mention eye exercises that may help bring the focus point more to the center. Next time, we'll get into my own research and my use of computers to correct visual processing problems, and how you can adapt the strategies without using computer programs. I'm so glad you've come and hope to see you next time.